What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Heat Check Podcast. Fantasy time, baby. Yesterday, we brought you with our NFL preview into week 3. Now we're going to be getting even deeper with the fantasy stuff. We had a lot of great performances last week. Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, some definite league winners out there, especially if your name's Joey. You had Aaron Jones this week, and Lamar Jackson. You know, we're just not even going to talk about it because we've talked about it enough.
Pulled me out of the grave.
Yeah, pulled you out of the grave. Crazy behind the scenes stories, stuff like that. But yeah, we've got another great lineup here for a bunch of fantasy stud performances, hopefully. So without further ado, let's get straight into our stud of the week. But first off, no, I'm not getting into it yet. No, subscribe. All right, you're not going to listen to this stuff without subscribing. You got a price to pay. Like that video. Make sure those notifications are turned on. Go ahead, do it now. Good. All right, now it's time for the rankings. Starting off with the stud of the week, I'm going to go with Kyler Murray versus Jacksonville. I said this dude was going to play like a winning quarterback, like an MVP caliber quarterback, and he has. The Cardinals have looked really good, and I think Kyler Murray is going to flat out demolish this Jacksonville defense because everybody has. The worst offense, probably what people thought going into the league this year. In Houston, completely destroyed them, and I do think the Cardinals should just flat out demolish them. What about you? Who's your stud of the week?
Kyler's been really consistent, man, but I got Dalvin Cook going against the Seahawks. We saw Derrick Henry absolutely demolish them last week, putting up 1 million fantasy points. Dalvin Cook's a risky pick, though. I mean, he came off the field 3 times and scared his owners last week. So I don't know. You're definitely starting him with confidence, though. But I mean, maybe handcuff Alexander Madison just in case something happens. I pray that doesn't happen. But if he stays healthy this whole game, Dalvin Cook should dominate for you.
Dalvin Cook's one of those guys where, yes, he did go off the field a lot, but he is back to getting some reps in practice. So that is definitely a positive sign heading into NFL Sunday. So, yeah, hopefully for the sake of my fantasy team, he does end up being the stud of the week. But guys who are studs can also be duds the next week. And a guy who has been very, very good recently, I would say is Deebo Samuel. I don't think he's going to be doing that good this week. I just don't think the matchup is all that favorable. Green Bay, Jair Alexander, while they did give up a lot of points to a guy like, I don't know, Quintez Cephas, Deebo Samuel's definitely better, but I do think if Deebo is going to be lining out wider in the slot, I think there's going to be guys that are going to be covering him deep. They still have Adrian Amos, who is one of the better safeties in the league. If he ever lines up on the outside, he's not going to be getting a single target. So I would look for Brandon Ayuk to take a step up and George Kittle to be the main focus of their offense, because while they do have one of the best corners in football, they cannot cover a tight end to save their asses. So George Kittle, hopefully he can get that up and running soon. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, Deebo Samuel, honestly, it might be a little bit risky because a lot of guys are depending on him. But I'm going to say Deebo Samuel this week is my bust of the week.
Yeah, that George Kittle breakout game's coming anytime soon. I'm just waiting for it. But my dud of the week, I'm going to go with Joe Mixon playing against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a few pieces out that are definitely big contributors to their run game. But they've been shutting it down, man. They're the number 4 team versus running backs right now for fantasy. And Joe Mixon, last year he did struggle versus good run defenses, and he ended up getting injured, so he didn't even play Pittsburgh last year. But he did struggle against the Ravens last year. He's going up against Pittsburgh. This is going to be his first real challenge. He did put up a dud last week too, so I think he just continues the streak of failure against Pittsburgh.
I think the thing with Joe Mixon is that he's getting work in the pass game that he really hasn't gotten before, because now that Gio's out, Joe Mixon is the only guy there. And with that is why I think Joe Mixon is a little bit safer of a running back than he was in the years before. But Mixon is very risky. Sometimes you got to take those risks, but they might not always pay out. Guys who might pay out, though, maybe when it comes to value compared to what they used to be, definitely the biggest value here is the waiver wire. I think there's 2 great pickups here this week. I'm just going to say it. Justin Fields and Rondale Moore, they're going to be fantastic. Even though Justin Fields might not have the greatest start this Sunday, I think the rushing upside as he gets work into the offense a little more. Darnell Mooney, Allen Robinson, have you heard of him? Jimmy Graham is still a good tight end. Cole Kmet, I feel like, can still be a good red zone threat for him. I think there's a lot of opportunity here for Justin Fields. If you're a little bit thin at quarterback, definitely go with him. Rondale Moore as well. Man, he looked fantastic for them. I think Rondale Moore is definitely the wide receiver 2 for this team. And because of that, I do think a lot of pass work for D-Hop is going to decrease. Maybe not a lot. I would say just maybe a little bit. But if it's going to decrease just a little bit towards Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk is definitely going to be taking a huge hit here. So if you can, if you want, pick these two guys off up the waiver wire right now, because I'm telling you, Rondale Moore is going to continue to have a good week, and Justin Fields is going to break out soon.
My waiver wire pick, I mentioned him earlier. I think this is just a safe thing to do. I think you go out and pick up Alexander Madison, even if you're a Cook owner or not. I mean, he's just a good pickup. I mean, we've seen Cook go down in the past. I really hope it doesn't happen, but winning fantasy, you have to be prepared for everything. And I mean, Madison, he's going to be the workhorse if he gets in there and Cook is injured, and he's going to be getting the volume. He did come in last year and disappointed everyone, but if he has a full season, he's going to get it down. This is just a handcuff, just to get that straight. I really do not want Cook to get injured, but you got to be safe and you got to be prepared to win your leagues.
Also, another guy that I didn't think I would have to mention, because pretty much everyone is telling you to pick him up. But if Tony Pollard is still available, pick him up, because the volume that he's getting right now is crazy. Like, there's no way that a guy like him, who's supposed to be a handcuff, one of the better handcuffs, but a handcuff, should be getting volume like this. I could see there being a dynamic Cleveland Browns type of backfield here, where Tony Pollard is getting the amount of pass game work that he has been getting. And the touches have been there too for him. He's looked really good. Getting right into guys like Tony Pollard, who are producing like that, the guys on the ground are the most valuable. So Joey's going to get right into the Heat Check Podcast top 15 running backs on the week.
Let's do it. Let's talk some running backs. Just to get straight, McCaffrey has already played. By the time this is out, he would have been number 1 for me. He probably did put up like 30 or so points. He might have been the start of the week. But number 1, I'm starting it off with Alvin Cook. He was my start of the week, so obviously he's going to be number 1 on my rankings. Got an easy matchup against the Seahawks, the dead worst team against the run, obviously because they played Derrick Henry. Number 2, he's high. Aaron Jones against the 49ers, number 30th against running backs, and we saw Aaron Jones get 4 touchdowns last week. If you thought A.J. Dillon was going to be getting that goal line work, you were scared of that. Don't be scared anymore. 4 touchdowns. What else can you ask for from Aaron Jones? Number 3, let's go with Derrick Henry playing against the Colts, division rival. He always seems to struggle a bit versus the Colts, but if Derrick Henry's going to get the volume that he's getting, he's going to put up serviceable fantasy points, and he could even break out again if he gets one of those long runs. Number 4, Naji Harris. Somebody's going to hate me for putting him this high. Maybe even you, Brett. This is pretty high for Naji. He's got an easy matchup against Cincinnati this week. The only thing, if Big Ben is injured, Naji Harris, I don't know if he's even in my top 10 anymore. He's up here. Big Ben is dealing with an injury right now. If he's injured, scratch this. He's moving way down. But Naji Harris, we saw him get his first touchdown this week. I think he does very well this week against Cincinnati. This could be his breakout game. Number 5, Nick Chubb going up against the Bears. Nick Chubb, he's been getting the goal line work. He broke out a nice little run against the Texans last week. The Bears have not been the defense that they've been in the past, and they have been struggling this year. Nick Chubb at 5. Number 6, he's moved up a lot. Austin Eckler. He's playing against the Chiefs, an abysmal run defense. And I think Eckler, this could be his breakout week. He's getting a ton of targets. He's getting a ton of carries on the ground. And here he comes. Number 7, Jonathan Taylor against the Titans. Jonathan Taylor, yeah, this is high. This is high for Taylor. Just wait. Jonathan Taylor, he got stuffed on the goal line last week 3 times, which was very sad for Taylor owners. I think he gets in this week versus the Titans, though. I think buy low on Jonathan Taylor, honestly. If somebody's mad at him or wants to sell him, I think you buy low on Jonathan Taylor right now. If you thought Marlon Mack was going to be a pest, he's not. If you think Nyheim Hines was going to be a pest, he's not. He's been getting some receiving game work. But Jonathan Taylor is the guy in this backfield. He's getting the volume, and I think he gets in the end zone this week versus the Titans. Number 8, he's falling a lot. Kamara. Can we trust Kamara anymore? He plays against a great defense in the Patriots this week. I don't know, man. Jameis Winston, we said it before the season started, Jameis Winston is going to be the X factor to Kamara's fantasy success. And he screwed him over this week. First week he did all right, but I don't know. Kamara might keep falling, or he might come back into the top 5 next week. We will see this week, though, versus the Pats. Number 9, Ezekiel Elliott versus the Eagles. Monday Night Football, I think Ezekiel Elliott will show out. Tony Pollard is stealing a lot of his work, but I think Ezekiel Elliott is still that goal line back. Even Jerry Jones admitted that this was going to be a committee for the rest of the season. They like what Tony Pollard is bringing them. But, I mean, you can't be too scared. Ezekiel Elliott has finished as a top 10 running back every year since he's been in the league. Number 10, Chris Carson versus the Vikings. I mean, Chris Carson has shown to be a draft steal. He was going in the 6th, 7th round sometimes. And Chris Carson has been performing. He has been a very consistent running back like we've seen in years past. Number 11, breaking into the top 12 here, Tyson Williams. What a matchup against the Lions he has this week. I like him a lot. We saw Aaron Jones kill the Lions last week, and Tyson is going to be the number 1 back for the Ravens. I think he's going to show out. He could even be a top 5 running back this week. Number 12, Antonio Gibson versus the Bills. Gibson's falling down the rankings as well. We saw McKissick just take a lot of work from him this week. I think Gibson will fit into a spot as the season goes along, though. Taylor Heineke's still figuring out the offense, but on obvious passing downs, he was not to be seen. They said before the season they were going to give him a Christian McCaffrey type workload on passing downs, and we have not seen that at all. That's something to be disappointed in if you drafted him in the 2nd round. Number 13, David Montgomery playing against the Browns. David Montgomery struggled last week, but so did the entire Bears offense. I don't think it's too much to worry about. Number 14, Saquon Barkley against Atlanta. It's tough to say with Saquon, man. I almost considered him not even putting him in the top 15, but he's got a great matchup against Atlanta. We'll see what he can do. I pray that he does well. It might be his breakout week, but we might also have to wait another week. Start watching his practice time, look at all the tweets and stuff about him on Giants Insiders and all that. Just keep track of it and make the game time decision on whether you trust it or not. Number 15, I'm going with Miles Sanders against Dallas. Miles Sanders has been getting touchdowns stolen from him, and I think if he can get those touchdowns back from Kenneth Gainwell, he is going to be a top 15 running back every week. He's got a good matchup this week, and the Eagles have been using him, so be excited about Miles Sanders.
You already said why you think Jonathan Taylor is going to be that high. I think Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines are definitely a threat. While he definitely did get those high target shares in week 1, those nearly disappeared. He only got 2 targets last game. And for a guy like Jonathan Taylor, who's supposed to be that lead back ahead of a lot of those guys, I don't know how I feel about that.
Saquon, buy low now.
You could. If he does it this week, then I would buy low. But as of right now, I would say keep him still. That high, I don't really know. Saquon Barkley, I don't think he'll be in. Okay, I'm not going to say that because he could be completely healthy, but there was reports coming out before the season that he won't be fully healthy until after week 3, and that could still be true. If that is still true, then he's definitely not in the top 15 for me at all. But it's your list, it's our list, whatever. Wide receiver time. Let's get into it. Number 1, Devontae. I'm sorry that I didn't put you at number 1 last week. Tyreek Hill really did it on me, and I don't think I will ever do that again because Devontae gets those targets. He's never going to go away, even if it's against San Fran. San Fran just overall defensively hasn't really looked all that good, so I'm going to put him at number 1. Number 2, I got Stefan Diggs against Washington. Look, this Washington secondary has not played good. A lot of people thought that William Jackson would come in and complement this Washington secondary well, and there hasn't really been that big of an impact. You could say there have been interceptions. I'm pretty sure William Jackson has gotten him a pick, but it hasn't translated well. They're the 26 against wide receivers. That's not good for a defense that's supposed to be this elite. They haven't been, especially against the pass. So I'm going to put Diggs there at 2. Number 3, Tyreek Hill against Los Angeles. I mean, it's a divisional rival. Tyreek Hill is always going to do good. It's just a matter of I don't know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to show up. If he does, I think he should because after last week, Dallas almost put up 200 rushing yards. There's no way in hell they don't use Clyde here, and I don't think Clyde will have that bad of a week. Even though he did have some fumble troubles, I think he should be getting some work here, which means the pass game's going to decline a little bit, but it's still Tyreek Hill. He's 3. Number 4, give me Calvin Ridley against the New York Giants. Look, he is back. The Falcons at least had somewhat of an offense going last week. I mean, hell, Cordero Patterson came from nowhere. I almost put him as my waiver wire pickup of the week, but I'm going to have to wait on that. I don't know if that was just a 1 week thing, but yeah, Calvin Ridley, this Giants defense is not good, in my opinion. I think they overperformed definitely a little bit last year, and they're showing it now because overall, while Daniel Jones has been playing some of the best football of his life, it hasn't translated to wins. So I think because of that, Calvin Ridley is going to torch the New York Giants. Number 5, Cooper Kupp, man. He's had 2 good weeks back to back, and this Tampa secondary is also another team that has not looked really good against the pass. Maybe losing Sean Murphy-Bunting is a lot more hurtful than a lot of people realize. But yeah, Cooper Kupp is definitely Matt Stafford's favorite target. I don't know if there's something going on between him and Woods, but I think it's a matter of time before you get him fired up. But as of right now, I don't have Woods in my top 15. Hell, he's probably outside my top 20 because Cooper Kupp is taking these targets and like it's nothing. He's looked fantastic. He's definitely a top 5 receiver this week. Number 6, Tyler Lockett, another guy who I didn't think was going to be that consistently productive. Of course, he's always going to have that 50-point bomb, but he's playing really, really good as well. And against a team like Minnesota, who is not good against the pass, I do expect him to finish very, very high. Tyler Lockett at number 6. Number 7, I got Justin Jefferson against Seattle. Same game here for Lockett, but I think Justin Jefferson, it's about time he breaks out. And I'm pretty sure his big breakout game last year was against Seattle. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, J-Jeff, I think he's going to get fired up here. I don't think Thielen is going to continue to be a problem. And if he does, I don't really know. But J-Jeff, number 7. Number 8, I got D-Hop versus Jacksonville. I think he will be good in the first half, but they're going to destroy Jacksonville. And I think with that comes a lot more of the run game. So I would expect Chase Edmonds and who's the backup back? Who's the backup back? James Conner. Yeah, I completely forgot that he was there now, but I do expect that running game to be used a lot more here just to kill the clock against Jacksonville. So that's why I have D-Hop a little bit lower, but D-Hop is going to produce good numbers here. A.J. Brown, look, a lot of y'all have been disappointed. I would say definitely buy low on A.J. Brown while you can because he's getting the targets and he's had a lot of big play opportunities. He's just sold. And that, to keep it straight up, he's been selling sometimes, but I do think he will get back into his groove. I'm going to keep on ranking him inside the top 10 because I just can't. And Indiana also has not been good against the pass, so I am going to go with A.J. Brown here at number 9. Number 10, Keenan Allen versus Kansas City. Look, Kansas City's secondary has definitely been the shining star of their defense because their run defense sucks. So you ranked Austin Eckler high. I do think he will be a big part of this offense, but it's Keenan Allen. The targets that Keenan is getting is just unbelievable. I mean, it hurts me to not rank him above guys like, A.J. Brown because he's getting more targets than him, but I got to be safe a little bit and, put him down here, but he's still top 10. Keenan Allen's going to be fantastic. Number 11, Lockett's teammate, Metcalf, another guy who's been very disappointing, who I would buy low on. I think he will do good against Minnesota because their secondary is not good. I thought the secondary would definitely perform a lot better if Patrick Peterson would contribute anything, but he hasn't. They have started off horribly against the pass. At number 12, I got Chris Godwin against the Rams. AB, come on, man. I thought you were going to be a really good wide receiver option, and then you put up such a huge dud. So I think I'm going to stick with Godwin, the guy who's actually been consistent against the Rams here. I don't think he'll get picked up by Jalen Ramsey that much just because I think that's Mike Evans. I think Jalen Ramsey is going to be shadowing Mike Evans the entire time. So I do think Godwin will be the shining star here. You always got to start someone. There's always got to be someone in the top 15 from that Bucs offense. It's too electric. Number 13, I got Amari Cooper against Philadelphia. Look, this rushing game, if it really is going to continue to be this good, if Pollard is going to continue to complement Zeke as well as he did last week, the secondary is still not good over there in Philadelphia. I do think the pass game will be implemented well, but I think this game's definitely going to be a little bit more balanced out. I wouldn't be surprised to see like 125 total rushing yards or something like that from both backs, or maybe 150 if we're getting up there, and like 300 passing yards. With that, I think Coop, if he's healthy, Coop is questionable, and if he is questionable and ends up affecting his play, CeeDee Lamb to the moon, who I have at 14 right behind him. CeeDee Lamb has been very consistent. 23-17 this past week. I mean, it's CeeDee Lamb. Everyone knew that he was going to be getting these type of targets, these type of receptions. He's safe. He's a guy that I like to have on my team, and I'm glad that I do because he's also becoming one of my favorite players in the league. And at number 15, a little bit of a sleeper here, but I mean, hell, he's played like a fantastic top 15 receiver. I'm going to go Sterling Shepard against Atlanta. Look, Sterling Shepard could have a humongous week here because Atlanta sucks. any wide receiver that goes against Atlanta seems to be doing really good. And check the numbers. Sterling Shepard has been getting a lot of targets. He's the 9 wide receiver in football right now. So a really good matchup. If the matchup was okay, then I wouldn't be putting him this high. But against a defense that's as bad as Atlanta, if it doesn't really care if Daniel Jones fumbles the football a lot, I think Sterling Shepard's going to be getting those type of targets because Kenny Golladay has not been getting them. Kenny Golladay has looked not all that great for the New York Giants. Sterling Shepard has. Just look at the numbers, and I think it'll translate well here in Atlanta. Bold pick, but I do think it'll turn out well because targets comes a lot of points in fantasy, and I think it'll pay out definitely this week for Sterling Shepard.
I don't mind that pick at 15. I like it actually. Number one for the quarterbacks. Get into the quarterbacks. Your start of the week, my QB1. Kyler against Jacksonville. He's going to be there until he just stops his tear of, I think he has 65 points in 2 weeks. I mean, if you drafted him, he was mostly the third or fourth quarterback going off the board. And I mean, that's just a steal. He could finish as a QB1, and he's on pace to right now. Number 2, I'm going with Lamar against Detroit. Detroit is not going to stop Lamar on the ground. Lamar could even have a case for quarterback 1 this week. He went off last week against Kansas City, and Detroit is even worse. Number 3, Mahomes against the Chargers. The Chargers secondary has been pretty good. They played well against Dak last week, but Mahomes doesn't care about that. Come on now. Number 4, Russell Wilson. Like I said, he's going to be in my top 5 until probably week 8 or 9 when he decides to cool down. But it's the first half Russell Wilson. He's going to be up here in the top 5. And the Vikings have been producing shootouts like crazy. And Vikings versus Seahawks, that is just a shootout waiting to happen. So Russell Wilson, he's going to cook. Number 5, he's high. Jalen Hurts versus the Cowboys, Monday Night Football. I think Jalen Hurts eats. Number 6, Josh Allen. When will Josh Allen bounce back? I don't know. I think it'll be this week. We saw Daniel Jones put up a 28 spot against Washington last week.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, something like that. But Washington defense is not the same as last year, so I wouldn't be too hesitant playing anyone against them. For fantasy, number 7, I'm going with Tom Brady versus the Rams. You could say, oh, the Rams are a good defense, but this game is primed to be a shootout, just like I said with Russell Wilson. It's primed to be an offensive shootout, and Brady is going to be throwing the ball deep down the field. Number 8, I'm going with Dak versus the Eagles. Dak really let you down last week. That's the only reason he's so low. I think I had him maybe top 6 last week, but I think Dak bounces back versus a weak Eagles defense. Number 9, this is weird. This feels weird to say, but I'm going with Daniel Jones in the top 10 against the Falcons. Daniel Jones has made it to the top 10. And number 10, Aaron Rodgers against the 49ers. Aaron Rodgers bounced back last week, and I think it keeps it going against a weak 49ers secondary. All right, you turned your eyes up on that Daniel Jones pick. What do you got to say about that?
You put Daniel Jones over Matthew Stafford? Matthew Stafford is going to destroy that Tampa secondary. I'm sorry. Matthew Stafford's going to be better.
Jones has outscored
I'm surprised you
this
put.
year.
Look, I like Jalen Hurts. He's been doing pretty good. I wouldn't put Jalen Hurts over Matthew Stafford. I'm sorry. I don't think that Eagles offensive line is going to do too good. I think the run game is going to be the majority of the game plan here. And with that comes rushing attempts for Jalen Hurts. But, I mean, the last time Jalen Hurts played the Cowboys, it was one of the worst defenses I've ever seen, and we completely clamped him. This is the defense that leads the league in turnovers with 6, and I'm surprised you didn't have Stafford.
Hurts and Daniel Jones will outscore Matt Stafford this week.
Okay, well, that better not be true because I'm starting Stafford over Hurts. So,
don't
hopefully
do it. Start Hurts. You'll regret it.
I'm not gonna watch my team lose. I don't want to do that. I don't want to root for the guy going against my team.
Take the loss in real life and in fantasy.
Nah, shut up. All right, Stafford's gonna do good this week. On to the tight ends. Number 1. It's a guy who's been climbing up the ranks. Honestly, I gotta go Travis Kelce here. Number 2, Darren Waller, versus Miami. I didn't even have to give off the matchup for Travis Kelce. I'm never going to. I'm not going to say that once this year. Number 3, TJ Hopkinson. I believed I ranked him this high last week, and he continues to prove me right. Look, I took Hopkinson a lot later than Kittle was taken, and Hopkinson has been fucking fantastic. 25-20 against Baltimore, who gave up a lot of points to tight ends in the past couple of weeks. yeah, give me TJ Hopkinson over George Kittle, who I still think will be good at number 4 against Green Bay. I think this is going to be a very good week for tight ends because we've got good matchups all across the board. Kittle, I think, will be a bigger part of this offensive day. And Deebo Samuel, of course, I listed him as my bust of the week. And comes George Kittle. That breakout game is bound to happen. Number 5, gotta go Gronk. I gotta ride the wave here. Gronk's red zone touches have been incredible. He has been looked at a lot. And while he didn't put up 90 yards like he did against Dallas, he only put up like 42 or something like that. Or maybe it was 48. I can't remember. It was still good. He still finished within, I believe it was like the top 5 or top 3 of tight ends the past week. So yeah, Gronk, I'm going to put him in my top 5. Still riding with it here. Number 6, Noah Fant has gotten a lot of targets ever since Jerry Jeudy has gone out. And against the New York Jets, I expect that to come here. So at number 6, I got Noah Fant. Number 7, Kyle Pitts. Look, he definitely took a step up from last week, but I do still think it's going to take a bit before Pitts can be fully worked into this Falcons offense because even with Calvin Ridley, the Falcons seem to not know what they're doing offensively. They can't make up their mind whether they want to be. Last year that passing game was amazing. But, I mean, last year you also had a really good start off from Todd Gurley. I mean, Todd Gurley was like a top 10 running back in fantasy last year for like the first half. And then he kind of fell off. And I don't think Mike Davis is going to be doing anything like that. So Falcons got a lot to prove here.
Matt Ryan has thrown more touchdowns to Mike Edwards than Calvin Ridley. How about that?
That's crazy. And then that's definitely not a good sign. That's definitely not a good sign for Kyle Pitts. So, yeah, Pitts here at 7. A guy who's definitely fallen, Mark Andrews, hasn't really been all that impressive these past couple of weeks. Against Detroit, like I said, I think this is going to be a very good week for tight ends. I think 1 through 8 here are going to all have really good weeks here because Detroit isn't good. They're not good at stopping anything. And I think Mark Andrews will definitely get into the end zone. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get into his top 5 self like he usually is, but as of right now, I got to play it safe and rank some of these other guys because they seem to be getting the work that Mark Andrews usually does. At number 9, I'm going to have Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas seems to be a really safe tight end, even though he kind of fell short last week. The previous week, he did good. So I'm going to play him here against Buffalo, definitely. And then at number 10, guy who definitely disappointed me last week, but I'm going to go Jared Cook here. Jared Cook, he got a touchdown removed for illegal shift. And while it's definitely a bad call, I didn't mind it because it was against the Cowboys and it kind of made me laugh. But he still did get a lot of end zone looks there. And I think that will translate as well over to Kansas City because I think Kansas City and Los Angeles is probably going to end up being a really good offensive game. Hell, could end up being game of the week if it somehow tops Tampa versus LA. But yeah, I think Cook will definitely be a part of this offense a little bit more than last week. Definitely won't have any touchdowns removed for illegal shifting. But guys, that's all that we have for fantasy this week. We have a big lineup here for week 3. And I think there's going to be a lot of huge performances. It could top last week. I mean, I'm pretty sure the best team last week was nearly like 300 points. Like the best possible team was like nearly 300 points. That's crazy to think about. But there's a lot of really favorable matchups here to where we could see huge breakouts here. So hopefully we help you guys out. Actually, I know we will because if you listen to our rankings and only our rankings, you will go undefeated this season, no doubt. And if you aren't going undefeated, it's because you're not watching the Heat Check podcast. So the only way to watch the Heat Check podcast is to know exactly when we are uploading. So you got to subscribe. You got to turn those notifications on. Like the video while you're at it because, I mean, we're doing charity here, giving you guys free wins with our rankings. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the support recently. And, yeah, we'll see you next week. Have fun watching football today. Peace.